Hi, there's Professor Monty talking about the empirical rule. Okay, the empirical rule says for any normally distributed data. Well, normally distributed data just means it's a bell-shaped curve. It has this type of look to it. If it's a bell-shaped curve or a normally distributed data set, approximately 68% of the data falls within one standard deviation of the mean. Approximately 95% of the data falls within two standard deviations of the mean. And approximately 99.7% of the data falls within three standard deviations of the mean. Now, these are going to be approximate. You could be a little bit more, a little bit less. We could have 100% of the data within three standard deviations. It just depends on the particular data set. But in general, these are going to be approximate values for any bell-shaped or normally distributed data set. Now, for obvious reasons, this is also called the 68, 95, 99.7 rule for the normal distribution. So if you remember it by this name, you just have to remember, oh, that's 1, 2, and 3 standard deviations from the mean. That's the approximate percentage of data. Now, let me show you an example. So for instance, we know that when somebody takes an IQ test, IQs are normally distributed. So let's say this. IQs are normally distributed with a mean of 100 and a standard deviation, we'll abbreviate that, standard deviation of 15. So that's something we know. Now, I'm going to use the population mean notation. So the mean, mu equals 100. We would use X bar if it was just a sample. And the standard deviation, sigma, is 15. And that would just be S if it was a sample. Okay, so we know that. So if I do the mean, let's do it up here, the mean plus or minus 2 standard deviations. And again, you could write this as X bar plus or minus 2S if we were looking at sample data. Well, I can plug these in. I can say, oh, that's 100 plus or minus 2 times 15, which is 100 plus or minus 30, which is 100 minus 30 to 100 plus 30, which is 70 to 130. Since that's within 2 standard deviations of the mean of 100, what I can say is approximately, since that was 2 standard deviations and it's a normally distributed curve, approximately 95% of IQs are between 70 and 130. And I could do the same thing, putting a 1 up here, and that would be about 68% are between those two numbers, or put a 3 up there, and I'd say almost all, about 99.7% of all IQs are between, and I could calculate it that way. But that's the idea. That's how we can use this idea in a data set to see how spread out the data is and where certain amounts are. Okay, hope that helps. Work with it, and you'll get it.